I have never once talked about gambling on my show. Not really. And I'm not going to here other than some inside baseball. I am fascinated by streaming services. Streaming services, Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Paramount Plus. There's another one, Peacock. Like, people are all trying to make their own streaming service. That's like the game plan. And Disney is right now way too reliant on it. They're losing tons and tons of money on Disney Plus. And there's just so many streaming services right now between Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu, all of them. They're not all going to win, right? And we're building this model that's unsustainable with streaming services. I swear I'm going somewhere. Only a couple, 10 years from now, if any, are going to win. Probably Netflix, probably Amazon Prime. That's not going anywhere. Maybe there's room for one or two more. We're seeing a similar thing happen with gambling. FanDuel, DraftKings, Fox Bet didn't work. It failed. Barstool had a partnership with Penn that they didn't work. They actually sold Barstool back to their former owner. And Penn is now partnering with ESPN to start ESPN Bet. ESPN, a gambling service. And what I'm trying to say here is that we're in the early stages of gambling being legalized in America. Very similar to like actually the, got to be careful. I don't want to say the wrong word here. The weed industry. Let's just say it, right? There was a crash in the weed market where it got legalized in Oregon like crazy. And then there was so much supply, not enough demand. The prices went way down, which is great for consumers, but it tanked the weed market like crazy. Like no one was making money anymore. We are seeing it's a new emerging market, sports gambling. And big companies are spending a lot of money in marketing to try to be the ones that win the initial war, to get the most people in. Giving away like $200 in free bets off a $5 thing, spending a ton of money in advertising. By the way, the advertising money in gambling this year is less than it was last year. That's interesting to me. So what we're seeing is a world where everyone's trying to win and be the number one gambling company. I think the two that are going to win are FanDuel and DraftKings. They are the two best and the two top dogs in my opinion. But everyone's trying to do it in their own way. ESPN has now thrown their weight into the ring. Rather than partnering with FanDuel, rather than taking the money that FanDuel or DraftKings would give ESPN in a partnership, they've decided to do it themselves. That's a mistake in my opinion. It's going to cost you a lot of money to get it off the ground. Then you're going to spend a lot of money in advertising. And if it fails, you're out a ton of money. When you could just take in and bring in free money in advertising from DraftKings or FanDuel. It reminds me of when the Pac-12 network was started. I used to work for the Pac-12 network. I got actually asked to work this weekend the Oregon State at Washington State game in Pullman. I'm like, that's a long commute from Hawaii. I'm good, but thanks for the invite. And the Pac-12 network, rather than partnering with ESPN or Fox, which, by the way, the SEC network partnered with ESPN. They had a big network helping them with all the stuff, the logistics, everything, and taking some of the financial burden. The Pac-12 was an idiot, said, we're going to do this all by ourselves. We're not going to ingratiate ourselves to ESPN or Fox or CBS. We're going to make our own network without anyone's help. Part of why I got hired was because I was cheap and I was young, right? They were not great financially. They were over-leveraged with a dumb headquarters in San Francisco, paying like millions for a space that was totally ridiculous. Should have gone to Salt Lake City where Utah was. Part of the death of the Pac-12 was that they spent money poorly. They tried to do stuff by themselves rather than taking a partnership and making it easier for them financially. ESPN is doing a similar thing. They're starting ESPN Bet. Rather than taking a partnership from FanDuel or DraftKings and just saying, hey, they've got a lot of money they want to spend in marketing, we'll take your money. Instead of putting any of our own money into our own gambling service, instead of trying to compete against you, let's work together, we can all make money here. ESPN is taking those giants on head-to-head. Massive mistake, in my opinion. It reminds me when the Pac-12 tried to start their own network, and it was a massive mistake that hemorrhaged money and cost them a lot. ESPN is now rumored to be in conversation of being sold to Apple. I am worried about the future of ESPN. I don't love ESPN. Their programming kind of sucks. They're very stuffy. I used to work for them as well. They drove me nuts. Like, I was a camera operator, and they were just corporate and a pain in the butt. I ran cables for them. I did a lot of stuff for ESPN over the years. And I still think ESPN has value. I like ESPN. I work for them. They drive me nuts. I'm not a fan, but I use their website occasionally. I think they're awesome. And I worry about the existence of ESPN, as Apple's rumored to maybe buy them. They're taking on a ton of money to partner with Penn to do ESPN Bet, their own gambling service, rather than partnering with FanDuel, rather than partnering with DraftKings, the two big dogs in the space, who I think would happily have a partnership with ESPN. They're like, we're going to do it ourselves. As a guy who does a sports show by myself, it's way harder to do everything by yourself. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going anywhere here, really. I'm throwing out this stuff saying I think ESPN is making a big mistake with ESPN Bet. I think they're going to spend a lot of money and it's going to do nothing. Fox Bet died really quick. They tried their own gambling service at Fox Sports and it didn't do anything. Got eked out of existence. And I worry that a similar thing is going to happen with ESPN and their new service, ESPN Bet.